Once upon a time, a group of 5 friends in their early 20s decided to embark on an adventurous trip to the forest. They had always been fascinated by the stories. They had heard about the dense forest, the mysterious creatures that lived there, and the uncharted territory that remained to be explored. They had planned for this trip for months and were excited to finally get the chance to live their dream. As they entered the forest, they felt a sense of awe and wonder. The trees were tall and imposing, and the river that flowed through the forest was crystal clear. The mountains in the distance looked majestic, and the mist that enveloped them added an air of mystery to the place. The friends set up camp near the river and spent the first day exploring the forest, taking in the beauty of their surroundings. As night approached, they sat around the campfire, telling each other ghost stories and savoring the warmth of the fire. Suddenly, they heard a strange noise in the distance. It sounded like a howl, and it seemed to be coming from deep within the forest. The friends looked at each other, their hearts beating fast. They had heard stories about the werewolf that supposedly lived in the forest, and they wondered if this was what they were hearing. They decided to investigate and set off towards the source of the noise. The moon was full and the forest was bathed in its silvery light, adding to the eerie atmosphere. As they walked deeper into the forest, they saw a figure in the distance. It was moving slowly, and they couldn't make out what it was. As they got closer, they saw that it was a man, dressed in tattered clothes and covered in dirt. He looked like he had been wandering in the forest for days, and he seemed lost and disoriented. The friends approached him cautiously, not sure what to expect. The man looked at them with wild eyes and spoke in a language they couldn't understand. He seemed to be pleading for help, but they couldn't figure out what he wanted. They tried to communicate with him, but it was no use. He was too delirious to understand them. They decided to take him back to their campsite and help him out. They gave him food and water, and tried to make him feel comfortable. But the man remained restless, and kept muttering strange things under his breath. The friends tried to sleep, but they were too unsettled by the events of the night. They could hear strange noises in the forest, and the man's muttering was getting louder and more frantic. They decided to keep a watch, taking turns to keep an eye on the man in the surrounding area. As the night progressed, they began to feel more and more uneasy. The man's muttering had turned into a full-blown frenzy, and he was thrashing about in his sleep. Suddenly, he let out a blood-curdling scream, and the friends rushed to his side. They found that the man had disappeared, leaving behind only his clothes and a strange smell. They searched the surrounding area but there was no sign of him. They concluded that he must have wandered off into the forest in a fit of delirium. The friends were terrified and decided to pack up and leave the forest first thing in the morning. But as they were getting ready to leave, they realized that one of their friends was missing. They searched frantically for him, but he was nowhere to be found. They decided to split up and search the forest. As they wandered deeper into the forest, they heard strange noises and saw strange figures in the distance. They began to feel like they were being watched, and the forest seemed to be closing in on them. Just when they thought they had lost all hope, they stumbled upon a clearing in the forest. In the middle of the clearing, they saw their missing friend tied to a tree. He was unconscious and appeared to have been beaten. The friends were shocked and scared. They knew they had to get out of the forest as soon as possible. They untied their friend and tried to revive him. As he slowly regained consciousness, he told them what had happened. He had been exploring the forest alone when he was attacked by a group of people dressed in strange clothes. They had tied him to the tree and left him there, with no explanation or warning. He had no idea why they had done this to him, but he knew that they were dangerous. The friends decided to leave the forest immediately. They packed up their things and set off towards the nearest town. But as they were walking, they heard the sound of footsteps behind them. They turned around and saw the same group of people that had attacked their friend. The group was led by a man dressed in a long, flowing robe. He had a menacing look on his face and a cold, calculating demeanor. He told the friends that they were trespassing in his territory, and that they had to leave immediately. The friends tried to reason with the man, telling him that they had not meant to cause any harm, but the man was unmoved. He told them that they had to pay for their mistake, and that there was no escaping his wrath. The friends were terrified, but they refused to give up. They decided to fight back, using all their skills and wits to outsmart the man and his followers. It was a fierce battle, with the friends fighting for their lives against a determined enemy. But in the end, the friends emerged victorious. They had beaten the man and his followers, and had managed to escape from the forest unscathed. As they walked away from the forest, they felt a sense of relief and pride. They had faced their fears and come out on top, and they knew that they had a bond that would never be broken. From that day forward, the friends knew that they could face any challenge that came their way. They had proven to themselves and to each other that they were strong, courageous, and unbreakable, and they knew that they would always remember the lessons they had learned in the forest, and the adventures they had shared.